So this is something I mentioned in a lecture before. You can play with anything LLM. It's a similar thing. This was intended. They say you'll never have to pay a subscription for any of those cloud services. Like, if you get ChatGPT, you only get the older one for free. To get the newer one, you have to pay them $20 a month. Um, at least that's how it was a while ago. And so you can run it locally. There's a thing called LM Studio, which will run large language models. You just download it and run it, and you'll see this thing, and you can just choose. Most models are here, a lot of them. You can choose any of these models, and you can use the chat. So you download, you can go to Llama 3, which is the same thing we were just talking about in the other model. Down here is Llama 3. You can just download it. That was the most recent model here. It's Facebook's model from just a few months ago, one of the most modern models here. It comes in different sizes, and this is the 8 billion size. The 70 billion is probably too big to run locally. I used the 8 billion for the previous project in this one. The 8 billion model runs okay on just a Mac M1. I'm not sure about 70 billion. And so you download it here. It's 4 gigs, the LLM itself, and then you can just use the chat. You can just ask questions down here and get an answer. So I asked it, will AI take over the world? And it gives me an answer, which is a pretty good answer. So that's fine. Now you can use the local server. This is LM Studio is running what they call a base model, a model that's been trained on some huge database that you just download and use. Those are the foundation models, I think they call them. And those are sort of neutral models to start from. But to make an LLM that's useful for a job, you typically need to customize it, typically by retrieval augmented generation. So it's running the base model. Now it's serving the base model on a local port. And so here it is. It's listening on port 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's supported endpoints, and there's an API listening for requests. So that gets this product, LM Studio, so it can be reached by another product. And for that, it's going to be anything LLM. Anything LLM, you launch it, and you tell it to connect to the running other thing, LM Studio, on this port in that location for the API. And now I can send requests from here. And the point of anything LLM is anything LLM does the retrieval augmented generation to add more data to it. So the combination of these two programs make it easy with no command line or anything, just by downloading and running ordinary software to make a Microsoft Copilot type retrieval system. So here, I wanted to test it on something modern. Now, the model I'm using is Llama 3, and that was trained on data up to March 2023. So the LLM only knows about events up to this time. Now, Microsoft Recall was announced on May of 2024. So it won't know what Microsoft Recall is. And here's where you see a really disturbing fact about large language models. If you ask it, what is the Microsoft Recall feature, it will just lie. Every time I asked this, I got a different lie. This time, it allows developers to recall previously deployed software updates. Another time it told me it allows you to retrieve data that's been thrown in the trash can. Next time it said it allows you to retrieve old backups or old versions of files. It just makes up garbage. It doesn't tell you, I don't know. It just makes up garbage. And it's like I say, this fundamental thing about large language models, they don't know what they're saying. They don't know the truth through a lie. They take your input prompt, which is a series of points. They fit a curve through it. They extrapolate that curve to predict some more words. They don't know that I don't know anything about recall. They just give you whatever they've got. And if they don't know, you'll keep getting random, weird, wrong lies every time. And by the way, if you continue in the chat, this is something people noticed early. If it tells you something wrong and you say, no, that's wrong, at least the previous version of these things would say, of course I'm right. You're just stupid, because they had learned to behave that way on the internet. They wouldn't admit they were wrong. So they would just argue with you and claim to be sure, and then they would make up references that didn't exist and say, oh, look here, here's the Microsoft documentation proving I'm right. And when you click the link, it doesn't exist. They seem to be a little less of that way lately. But anyway, so now you can add current information. You can go to the Microsoft announcement and you can put it in. You can upload that web page. You upload it into anything LLM, and then you go down and move it to your workspace. You define a workspace, and the workspace contains extra information that you've added, which is very much what all the companies I'm dealing with want to do. They want to add their proprietary private company data and have an LLM looking into that. on their
Yeah.
own servers, not announcing it to the whole world. And this product will just do it. So I download the data about Microsoft Recall, add it to the workplace, and embed it, which is going to encode it and embed it there so it can easily be used by the large language model. And now when you ask what Microsoft Recall is, it tells you the truth about it, a Windows 11 feature that does this or that. So I was very pleased to get this working. This is a really important practical thing. Now, I think you'd use other techniques to make a real production quality machine, unlike Amazon servers, but this contains all the essential features to understand how you add custom data to a large language model. So that's a useful trick. Stop that one.